Here's the truth. Cash is king, but cash is also dead. If you're gonna start pitching us some crypto, you better think, no, I'm not talking crypto. At least not today. And the other thing is, using cash, honestly, it's a thing of the past. Instead, if we take a look at it, cash transactions are down from a high of about 40% in 2012 to less than 26% today. However, just because cash is no longer used as much doesn't mean you'll never use it. Think about situations where you go to a restaurant, it's cash only. Or if you're traveling to a country that's primarily still based in using physical dollars. In those situations, I wanna ask you, how do you access your cash? Seriously, man, I follow you for this stuff? You use a debit card. Next question. Yes, a debit card, but not just any debit card. In this video, we're talking about the #1 debit card in existence to let you access your cash whenever, wherever, fee-free. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. For those who are new, my name's John of John's Finance Tips. Today, I am giving you my honest review of the best debit card I have ever had. And for any travelers out there, this is probably the last and only debit card you will ever need. The Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Account. That's a mouthful, so we're just gonna call it the Schwab Debit Card. As somebody who's had over 40 credit cards and earned over 4 million miles in points, I would say I rarely, if ever, use a debit card. In fact, I honestly would say I actively try to avoid using a debit card. Here are my 3 reasons as to why you should never use a debit card. 1. Debit cards have terrible fraud protection as compared to credit cards. Most credit cards have $0 fraud liability with no time limit, whereas a debit card has some wonky time limits. For example, if you have money stolen out of a debit card or that is considered fraud, if you report it prior to 2 business days, you're still liable for up to $50 in fraud charges. If you report between 2 business days and 60 calendar days, you're liable for up to $500 of the total fraud charges. And if it's over 60 calendar days, you could be on the hook for all of the money that was taken from your account. Contrast it with credit cards, you don't see a time limit, and most cards are giving you $0 fraud liability. The second reason I don't like using a debit card is the fact that you do not earn cash back or points or miles. In fact, all you're doing is just giving someone cash and getting whatever good or services you are purchasing in return, which on the surface sound like, yeah, that makes sense, but why would you do that when instead you could do like the rich do and make sure they're getting something in return every single time money leaves their bank account? And I'm not talking about spending your money to buy an AirPod and getting the AirPod. I'm talking about spending your money to buy the AirPod and also getting 1%, 2%, 3%, sometimes even 5% cash back on top of that purchase. Make sure you get into the habit that every single time a dollar leaves your bank account, you are getting back the good and service you purchased and something on top of it, because that option does exist just by way of using a credit card. The third reason, and arguably the most important reason as to why you should not be using a debit card, is the fact that it is not building a credit profile for you. Folks, this year has been crazy. Interest rates have been absolutely sky high. But what would suck worse than having just sky high interest rates is having a really thin credit profile. So when you try to go get a loan for a car or for a house, you get an even higher interest rate just by way of not building a credit profile. And one of the easiest ways to start building a strong credit profile is just getting a credit card and using it responsibly. And when I say using it responsibly, I'm talking about making payments on time and in full. If that's something you're already doing every day, if you're going out, swiping your credit card, turning around, paying it off in full, all you're doing is helping yourself out by building a strong credit score so that, again, when you get a loan, you get a great rate. Whereas if you're using a debit card, all you're getting back is that good or service that you purchased, nothing more, nothing less, which to me makes absolutely no sense. And the fourth reason is debit cards just aren't cool. I'm kidding, that's not a real reason. Maybe. But even with all of those reasons, there are gonna be situations that you need to use a debit card to access cash. So by the end of this video, I hope you agree with me 100% as to why the Charles Schwab High Yield Investor Checking Account, or the Schwab Debit Card, is gonna be the best debit card for honestly anyone out there that needs access to cash. So all I ask, if you pop a squat, tap that little thumb icon down there, we're gonna get the show right on the road. So why is the Charles Schwab Debit Card magic? First of all, it's because this thing can go vertical. I'm kidding, that's not why, but that's a feature. The Schwab card to me is the undisputed king of debit cards purely for the fact that you can use this card to access your cash anywhere in the world fee-free. free. So as a traveler, this should be the only and the last debit card you have in your wallet, period. So about, I don't even know, at this point, 6 years ago, I was on a backpack trip through Southeast Asia. We hit so many countries: Hong Kong, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. And in all of those countries, we needed to access cash. Now, if you're a traveler, you know, if you go abroad and you're in a country that primarily deals in cash, you have to either exchange either here, wherever your home country is, or wherever you travel to. Now, never exchange here, you're gonna get the worst rates. But even when you're exchanging, let's say, locally in Vietnam or locally in the Philippines, there's always a chance that that exchange rate isn't the best rate ever. On top of that, you have to pay a fee. So what can you do? Well, you can actually go to an ATM in any of those foreign countries and pull money out. However, if you use an ATM in a foreign country, likely you might be hit with some sort of foreign transaction fee in addition to whatever fee that the ATM is going to assess you for using it because it's out of network. That kind of sucks, right? Kind of negates the whole point of, man, getting the best exchange rate out of the ATM if you have these fees. Now, when I was traveling, I remember this in the Philippines, we had just landed, I don't even know, maybe it was like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and we needed to get some cash. I had one of two options. I could go up to some of the tellers and deal with an exchange after a long flight, or I could take my debit card, insert it into an ATM, and get out the cash. Which one do you think I took? I took the option that allowed me to use my Schwab debit card, walked up to an ATM, knowing that I was gonna get the best exchange rate, period, and also knowing the $4 or $5 ATM fee wouldn't matter to me because Charles Schwab would reimburse me for all ATM fees anywhere in the world. Every single country I traveled to, find the ATM in the airport, get my cash, get on my way. I did not have to go find a teller to make sure, okay, this is the best teller, okay, watch out for any sleight of hand exchange issues with the tellers. No, none of that. It was just, I'm traveling, I'm zipping, I'm getting my cash, I am moving. The other example I have for you was in my youth, I was at the casino and I needed to get some cash. If you know anything about getting cash from a casino ATM, you will know it is expensive. I think those fees are anywhere from like $10 to like $20, which is crazy because the casino's already making so much money off of me losing anyway. Anywho, that's another story. So I needed cash in a casino. These ATM fees are crazy, but do you think I really care? Do you think I was wondering, oh, where is my bank's in-network ATM? Oh, look, it's far away. No. I had a Charles Schwab debit card. I just walked up to the casino ATM. They said, sir, there will be a $20 ATM withdrawal fee, which again is crazy. And I said, okay, sure, send it. Boop. And guess what happened at the end of the month? Charles Schwab reimbursed me for that ATM fee. I cannot emphasize how incredible, and I know it's gonna sound weird, but empowering it is having this debit card, knowing anywhere I am, as long as there's an ATM, I can put in my Charles Schwab debit card, I can get my money, and Schwab will reimburse me any fees along the way. Cool, so now let's talk about some of the features of the Charles Schwab debit card. Number one, if you've been paying attention in this video, you know you can get unlimited ATM withdrawals from any ATM in the world fee-free. You will be reimbursed for all of those ATM fees. In addition, there's no foreign transaction fee, so you could use this while you travel abroad. Now, I would still argue if you're traveling abroad, don't use a debit card. Use a credit card for those transactions. Use a debit card to get cash if you need the cash. This card also has no monthly maintenance fees, and there is no account minimum, meaning you can open the card and just leave it there for when you need it. Unlike some other debit cards where, okay, you know, if you have X number of transactions or you have X number of deposits and use it that many times, it's free. No, this thing is literally a kind of set it up and forget about it until you need to access it. The part that gets me about this card though is that it's called a high yield investor checking account. I don't know what Schwab is defining as high yield, but 0.4% APY is not high yield. It is terrible yield, especially in today's environment. So that one I'm gonna kind of give it a ding on. So here's my recommendation on how to actually use this card. You should be using it kind of like a staging account. What I mean by that is have your main checking account somewhere that's earning you 2.75%, 3%. There are even some checking accounts right now that are giving over 3% APY. That should be a main checking account for you, all right? Your money goes in there, you use it however you need to use it. And then when it comes time to travel or whatever it is, load some money up into this and take this with you. That's the best way to use this card because again, even though it's high yield investor checking, it's very much not high yield. It's pretty mediocre yield. So use this whenever you're traveling, but on a day-to-day, use your regular checking account so at least you're getting some sort of yield so that your money isn't completely lost to inflation. application. Now, if you're interested in some of the best bank accounts that I've identified for this year, go ahead and check out this video. I'll link it up above. As far as application, it's pretty straightforward actually, though there's a slight nuance that you're gonna want to be careful of. So the step one is just go to this page right here and click open a new account. Now they're gonna bring you to a new page that's telling you that not only are you gonna open a high yield investor checking account, you're also going to open a brokerage account. Don't worry, that's not a big deal. And then the third step is once you finish the application process, you're gonna want to link an external checking account so that you can fund the account. Now, Schwab is giving a bonus for new accounts, but it's a pretty steep amount of money you need to start moving in there. I believe starting at $25,000 that are moved into the account, you'll get a bonus starting at about $100. So definitely not jumping for joy at this bonus, but if you happen to have a ton of money, you wanna just move into this account, then by all means do it, and you're gonna earn some sort of sign-on bonus. Now, a quick note about the Schwab brokerage account that you have to open in conjunction with an investor checking account. Back in the day, the only way to actually get an investor checking account was to first open a brokerage account and then transfer money from a brokerage account to their checking account, and then you get the debit card. Today, they make it a little bit easier by allowing you to just apply for both at the same time, so you don't have to go step one, step two, but you still need to open a brokerage account in addition to the checking account. My theory is probably because Schwab isn't a traditional retail bank. Like, you can't just go in there and do banking. Traditionally, they're a brokerage account, meaning people are using them to invest their money. And so that's probably why these two are still linked together. However, I use Schwab for a lot of my investing that doesn't have to do with my retirement accounts. I use Vanguard for a lot of my retirement accounts. I use Schwab and public.com for my day-to-day sort of investing. Although I guess it's not really day-to-day investing, it's just investing because you shouldn't be day trading. Anywho, I use Schwab. I really like their services. I really like the fact that whenever I call Schwab from an investing side, or honestly any customer service, it's someone in the US and they answer pretty quickly, I would say. So there's no knock on that. You can always go ahead and use them for your brokerage services. In addition, Schwab actually makes it pretty easy to use this strategy. It's known as the buy, borrow, die strategy. We're not gonna get into it in this video. It's pretty complicated, but it's basically how the rich live tax-free. You can use a pledged asset loan with Schwab, putting up your portfolio as collateral. Again, we're not gonna get into the nitty-gritty here, but all I'm saying is the brokerage account is 100% free. Don't worry about it. You just have to open that in conjunction with the checking so that you get the checking. You don't have to touch the brokerage if you don't want to. You can just use the checking, which is what I did for a good period of time until I started using the brokerage account just a little bit more this past year. So in summary, I hope this video was helpful for you. Again, this Schwab debit account is phenomenal as an account for anyone who travels or anyone who actually wants to use their money whenever they want to use their money without having to worry about ATM fees and all that garbage. My recommendation is open this checking account. It comes with the brokerage, that's cool. Link up an external checking account that you have. Whenever you're traveling or you think you're gonna have to use money somewhere, whatever the case is, transfer some money over and you're good to hit the road. I wouldn't recommend keeping money here, largely because the high yield part of it is pretty mediocre yield. Now, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.